Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel for another camera video. Today I am going to be talking about Sony's new beast that is the a7 III. So let's do it. Now, if you're a return viewer to the channel, thank you very much for being a subscriber. And most of you will know I shot a lot of my photos and a lot of my B-roll video on the Canon 750D, and you'll also know what happened to it. If you don't, and this is the first time you've been to this channel, I dropped this in the sea. I was on the rocks around the lighthouse and the tripod blew over and the strap blew out of my hand. It fell in the sea, camera is totally ruined. Doesn't turn on, it's just like full of salt. The lens is also ruined, which I'm sad about because it was the 50mm 1.4. But anyway, I decided to upgrade to this, which I'm filming on now, which is the Sony a7 III, and I have never been so excited about a camera before. Sony calls this like a base model camera, but to me this is like a pro line camera. The amount of features and everything this has is amazing. This isn't going to be an in-depth video because I don't know enough. This is just from like a vlogger, YouTube perspective, someone who's just doing it as a hobby. Going to be a little fun review. I've got a few little test clips which I went out in the field and shot. If you do want to see a full tech spec review, you're probably best off going to one of the pro photographers, pro videographers channel. I've watched a lot of videos on this myself before I took the plunge and bought it, and some of the specs just went straight over the top of my head. So this is just, I had a lot of people ask what's it like for like filming normal videos, what's it like for like just taking run-of-the-mill run and gun photos. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that, so let's get started. So what I've done is I've just pulled up some of the specs from the Sony website here. So I'm not going to fill you with loads of jargons because again you can just go see one of the other reviews. But it's a 24.2 megapixel camera, 35mm full frame. This is the first full frame camera I've had. ISO or ISO up to 512,000, expandable up to 204,800 for stills, which is awesome, meaning it's great in low light. It's also got the backlit sensor, which makes it even better in low light, which I haven't had a chance to test yet. Fast hybrid autofocus with 693 phase detection. I've tried so far the autofocus on this and it's absolutely amazing. Again, one downfall that Sony cameras have is there's no flip screen, so I can't actually see now, but in theory if I hold my hand out it should focus on my hand, and if I move it back it should quickly focus on my face. I'm not too sure if it has or not yet, so it might have failed. But some of the specs in this camera are absolutely amazing. Now the first thing I'm going to talk about this camera is the dial on the top and the modes that it can do, or more specifically the modes that I will use as a vlogger and amateur photographer. I would say I was better at video than I am at photos. I am still learning photos. It's a newfound hobby of mine. But the first dial on the top that I would use would be manual. Now, when I've been playing around with the settings and getting used to the Sony menus, because I've been coming from Canon, I've found the Canon menus really easy. Sony a little bit more complicated. Now the first one is manual. Obviously that gives you full control over everything, and obviously with a camera like this you're not going to shoot in auto. If you're shooting in auto in a camera like this, there's something wrong. So manual, I would use that for to take photos. The next dial, if you notice there in that little B-roll shot, you have a number 1 and a 2. Basically you can set some preset settings, so when you turn the dial it automatically goes to those settings. So dial number 1, I have set to 4K 25 frames a second at 100 megabits per second, and I also have the picture profile set to S-Log2, which I'm filming in right now. That's my run and gun vlogging setup for when I'm just doing normal talking shots, walking around. Them are the settings that I will use. Number 2, I have set up for my slow-mo. The camera does have a built-in slow-mo mode, but I do also have it set up for my own preference as well. So if I move the dial at number 2, I've got that set to 1080p, 100 frames per second, and then the shutter speed will automatically go to double the frame rate. and the f-stop I can manually control as well. So it just means I'm not having to mess around with the settings. I've got them three, so I've got manual for taking photos, I've got one for running gun vlogging, and then two for my slow-mo. The next mode is the S&Q, which stands for slow and quick. You can record time lapses and you can record slow-mo footage built into the camera. It does it all for you. You can dump your footage onto your preferred editing software and it's already in slow motion. I didn't like this at first because I didn't think I could change the settings, but speaking to a friend who's been for Sony a little bit longer than me, he showed me how to change the settings to manual, so now I can change the shutter speed, because as you know, your shutter speed should be double your frame rate. So obviously if I'm shooting at 100 frames per second, I want my shutter speed to be 200. So now I've figured out all that out. I do love the slow-mo feature inside the camera. I did use the slow-mo function today, and then I used the time-lapse function. I don't think Sony call it a time-lapse function, but it pretty much is, because you can set it all the way down to 1 frame per second. So that's what it is. It's going to record 1 frame every second, and when you come to play that back, the longer you record, the more motion you're going to have, so that's ideal for fast moving clouds. You can also change your shutter speeds as well. I didn't have an ND filter on it, so it was quite blown out the first time lapse that I did, because I had the shutter speed set really wide open. I think I had it set at 1 second, so I got a lovely motion trail. I had to close the shutter speed up a little bit, so it just looked like a standard time lapse. But here is the 2 time lapses which I shot. The first one didn't work. The second one is the one where I closed the shutter speed up a little bit, and the third one will be the slow motion test. I got my camera with the 28 to 70 f.3 to f5.6 kit lens, and it is, for a kit lens, it's a really awesome lens. This is the only lens I have now for the Sony. Only other lenses are Canon fit. So this is just me holding the camera out arm's width, and I do get quite a lot in this because it's that full frame. You get a lot more in. So as you can see there, I've got the ISO set to automatic, so it's just going to change because the lighting in this room that I'm in is bad. Obviously I've got the studio lighting set up there. I'm going to put it on a Joby pod so you can just see the difference between a Joby. I probably will use a Joby pod when I'm out and about to get it a little bit further away and hopefully make the shots a little bit more steady. But again, I'm still shooting in 4K here, and this is just arm length. I was very surprised at how much it fitted in the shot. I thought it was going to be a lot more closed up, but again, I am used to the crop sensor, so let's get it on the Joby pod. So this is it with a Joby pod on. I'm hoping it can fit a little bit more in the frame here. Again, I haven't really vlogged on this camera yet much, so I don't know how much it can fit in. Hopefully, obviously when I come back to look at the footage, you can fit a lot more in. I do prefer to use a Joby pod because it does tend to make it a little bit more stable. It's a bit more comfortable to hold, and I can also put the camera down and things like that without scratching the bottom. So that is it with the Joby pod on. Again, you can get some great lenses. One of the lenses that I do want is the 16 to 35 f2.8 G Master lens. That's a very expensive lens. It's actually more expensive than the camera. I do want that lens. I think it comes in at around £2,200, but that's a really wide angle lens which is probably more suited to vlogging. I think Fun for Louis, he uses that lens to vlog. I think I saw that on his kit list. But for now I'm happy with the 28 to 70, so if you have got one of these cameras or you are thinking about getting one of these cameras, get it with the kit lens. It's enough to get you started. It's enough for photography and stuff like that. You do get some really good bokeh on here as well, which I'll put in afterwards. So that was the test of the bokeh which you could get, which I think for a kit lens is pretty good. Obviously it's not going to be as good as a 1.450mm or something like that, but for a kit lens it's enough to get you started if you can get your focal length sorted out. You can't actually get enough bokeh with this lens. So I think that wraps it up. This is just a little short video. I had a few friends who wanted to know more about the camera and how I was getting on with it and a few test shots. Please don't take this as like a gospel review or anything like that. It's just from like a vlogger's point of view. We've got the time lapses covered, we've got the slow motion covered. I showed you like vlogging out with my hand and we're on a Joby pod. I haven't had a chance to really take any photos. I'm waiting for some step down rings to come in the post, which are due tomorrow, so I can use my ND filters so I can go out and take some pictures, and also so I can use it. I've got a variable ND filter which I use for video, so I can get that nice depth of field whilst out shooting at a low ISO without it being blown out. I'm assuming if you're interested in this camera you already know all about that. If you do want to check out my photos, I hate putting photos in videos, I just don't think it looks very good. I'm going to be putting some on my Instagram. In September I have a Florida trip coming up, so you can check my Instagram out at that Florida guy. But I've more recently started another Instagram, Gary Robert Photography, and that's just a place I can put all of my non-Florida photos and videos, so go check them out. I'll just put them on the screen here, both of them, you can check those out. Again, if you're new to the channel, I would love you to subscribe. Please don't let my bad reviewing put you off. I am better at other videos. I'm not very good at the sit down thing, but again, this was just a little fun video because I'm one of the first out of my friends to get the camera, and it's also not released yet in the USA, so none of my friends over in America have been able to see what it's like and what it can do. So this is just a little fun video just to get it out there. So thanks for watching, guys. Please leave a comment down below. Is this camera something you're interested in? I am starting the Tutorial Tuesday videos back up again now I have a new camera to film on, because this obviously is totaled. So we'll see you in the next one, and remember guys, stay tuned.